So you have an old soul, like your music and your style, your vibe. It's like you got kind of this throwback vibe coming through. And I know you're a surfer by youth and soul surfer. When did your like surfing and your music?
It kind of all meshed together. When I was 16, I was on a surf trip, and I saw a guitar leaning up against the guy's couch, and he taught me like 3 chords, and that just kind of like sparked the whole fire in me. It was sort of like the first time I ever caught a wave. You know, I fell in love with surfing, and the first time I learned a chord, I fell in love with the guitar. And I didn't know really where it would go, but it was always like once you learn 3 chords and like a song, then you're like, the next thing is like, I want to start a band. And so we started a band in high school. And we
2 weeks later.
Yeah, literally it was like that. And then we played a local pizza place for years. And I just played rhythm guitar in that band for a long, long time. And then when I was 30, like I was about 29 years old, I met my wife. And I was coming home from gigs just telling her I can't play cover songs anymore. I felt like a live jukebox. And she said, why don't you just write your own songs and sing? And I go, I don't know if I could ever do that. And so I worked really hard on a song and wrote it for her and sang it to her. And then that kind of started the whole thing of like writing songs and singing. But
So how far between when you started doing that to when you put out your first album?
That was like maybe 4 years later, because 2004 my first record came out on Jack Johnson's label. That was Brushfire, and he produced that whole record. He co-wrote songs on it. He kind of created like sort of this path for me to take. It was amazing. He took me around the world for 2 years, and then I really got to see how it all works. You know, I toured a lot with the band in high school, but I never really had a record deal, never had a record out, and never knew how it all worked. And so it was for him giving me that opportunity. It was like incredible. It was a chance of a lifetime. And then a lot of other friends that I've met through the way gave me opportunities, like Ben Harper let us open up for him a couple times, and G Love's been an amazing help. I remember Warren Haynes from Government Mule, he let us open up for him, and Dave Matthews, and there's been multiple festivals. But like those are really important things to get, like opening slots. They're very hard to get now because since the record industry's kind of collapsed, everybody has like their own label, and so they'll have their other friends open up, you know, so it's been really difficult to like even nowadays get opening slots. But
Oh yeah, when we had Rob on, we had Rob Machado, and didn't you guys play like an elementary school thing together?
He was like the first guy back in the day with Jack and Peter King, Kelly Slater. They started a band, the Surfers. They got a big record deal in Japan, and so they were like the first real surfers. They called their band the Surfers.
Peter King.
They were the Surfers, you know. But it was cool, and they're all great musicians. Like Rob's really good, and Peter King's amazing, and his whole family. His brother was in Mary's Danish, you know, back in the day, and it was a big band in the 80s. And I don't know, a lot of surfers are great musicians, singers, and like DJs, and sort of like the soundtrack of surfing is so wide open. You know, like you could put, you know, Pennywise and, you know, Blink-182 to surfing, or you could put like, you know, mellow, abstract sort of instrumental stuff to surfing. It all works, hip-hop stuff, whatever. And so that's what's cool about surfers. They all have different sort of images, and they all have different soundtracks I think they listen to when they surf. So it's great. It's so wide open, you know, so wide open to the music.
It's all about waves, like sound waves.
Sound waves.
Waves.